The federal courtroom descended into utter stillness as Judge Edith Jones, among the nation's most esteemed jurists, directed her piercing scrutiny toward Representative Jasmine Crockett. Over nearly 4 decades, Judge Jones had adjudicated some of the country's most pivotal litigations with resolute command. Yet this occasion diverged markedly. Today, she intended to confront a matter profoundly disturbing the juridical sphere. Congresswoman Crockett, Judge Jones initiated, her timbre resolute and authoritative. "Your latest utterances regarding the justice apparatus perturb me. Such declarations evince a disconcerting misapprehension of judicial autonomy's authentic essence. The assemblage of juridical specialists, correspondents, and vigilant populace suspended respiration. What commenced as routine juridical convocation metamorphosed into an unprecedented instant, a direct confrontation betwixt one of America's preeminent federal arbiters and an ascending partisan luminary. Subsequent proceedings induced universal astonishment. Through meticulously calibrated verbiage, Jasmine Crockett proffered a retort so unanticipated, it transmuted acerbic censure into profound veneration. An initial juridical admonition evolved into a compelling tutorial on modesty, stewardship, and national devotion. Should you aspire to observe further potent junctures where sagacity intersects humility and entrenched precepts illuminate partisan fissures, affirm endorsement, subscribe, and activate alerts. Such instances reaffirm institutional pertinence. To comprehend the unfolding's plenary gravity, discernment of the central duo proves indispensable. A fabled federal arbiter and emergent partisan impetus, resolute in contesting orthodoxy. Judge Edith Jones incarnates tenets deemed foundational to American jurisprudence. Entrusted to the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals by President Ronald Reagan in 1985, she has devoted nigh 40 years to unswerving probity, juridical acuity, and constitutional fidelity. At 74, Judge Jones has overseen exceeding 3,000 adjudications, garnering bipartisan esteem for incisive intellect and equitable methodology. Nurtured in Philadelphia amid robust conventional mores, she procured Cornell University credentials and University of Texas juridical formation amid scant feminine cohort. Renowned for unyielding tribunal carriage and exacting ratiocination, she stands as vehement sentinel of judicial sovereignty, democracy's bedrock. Lately, Judge Jones evinced mounting disquietude. She observed with chagrin politicians' overt interrogations of federal tribunals' legitimacy, particularly discordant with partisan objectives. Concurrently, Representative Jasmine Crockett ascended as nationally discoursed novice. A 43-year-old Texas delegate and antecedent civil liberties solicitor, she forged repute via advocacy for marginalized and systemic inequity contestation. Recent public articulations on federal tribunals ignited juridical fervor during hearings and discourses. Crockett impugned select adjudications as antiquated and societal detachment. Acclaimed by progressives, such were juridically perceived as sovereignty encroachments. Tension accreted gradually. Juridical academicians penned editorials underscoring tribunal deference preservation. Bar collectives issued restraint exhortations on partisan judicial discourse. Judge Jones, prudent and measured, deliberated public utterance timeliness. That juncture materialized at the annual federal juridical convocation, convening arbiters, advocates, and officials for systemic discourse. Crockett's criminal rectification perspective invitation unwittingly precipitated seminal discord. Have solitary colloquies ever transmuted vistas? Comment on governmental branch respectful interchange indispensability. The matutinal segment appeared mundane initially until Crockett ascended the rostrum with impassioned, erudite oration on sentencing variances, incarceration rectification, and systemic metamorphosis urgency. Attendees attended raptly as Representative Crockett expounded reform aspirations fervently, yet circa 15 minutes ingress, tonal inflection pivoted. Excessive federal arbiters, she proclaimed, persist anchored in obsolescent cognition, reluctant to embrace justice's adaptation to societal equity and parity evolution. Subdued astonishment undulated in closure. Sundry arbiters interchanged disquietude glances. Crockett persevered, conviction infused. When tribunal decrees recurrently buttress archaic disparities, systemic justice guardianship or potentate perpetuation merits interrogation. Frontal tear. Judge Edith Jones poised impeccably, yet intimates discerned unease. Crockett advanced. Judicial sovereignty ought not signify inviolability. Authentic deference accrues via equity, not tradition mandate. Ambiance densified. Policy disquisition burgeoned confrontational heft. Historic gestation palpably sensed. Then Judge Jones arose. At 74, her aura instantaneously compelled. Enclosure muteness ensued podium approach. Congresswoman Crockett, she commenced equitably. Reform devotion admirable, yet commentary implications necessitate address. Crockett rectified posture, discerning non-routine interchange. Judge Jones persisted. Public functionaries intimating adjudications pivot on plebiscitary sentiment over constitutional tenets misconstrue tribunal function. Tonality resolute, yet placid. Juridical deference independence cannot hinge on concurrence. Such orientation imperils liberty safeguarding power partition. Enclosure taciturn as Crockett pondered meticulously, ultimately softly. Judge Jones' candor appreciated. Permit inquiry, perceived errancy locus. Tonal transposition instantaneous. Absent self-vindication, Crockett solicited erudition. Tension attenuated. Judge Jones acquiesced. Congresswoman, zeal requisite. Metamorphosis via legislation, not arbiter principle abdication coercion. Dual females inaugurated substantive equilibrium discourse betwixt rectification and deference. Leaders impugning decrees via discordant sans legality, Jones appended, erodes communal credence. Absent credence, justice falters. Crockett attended attentively. Judge Jones reposted, frustration-induced perspective deficient articulation realization dawns. Rectification advocacy honoring tribunal sovereignty methodology. Then unanticipated apex, Representative Jasmine Crockett, debate acuity and opinion fortitude renown, inhaled profoundly, sincerity infused. Judge Jones, institutional and personal apology tendered. Enclosure soft inhalation disseminated. Public luminary errancy acknowledgement rarity epoch rendered historic. Advocates astonishment interchanged. Reporters digitary suspension. Crockett respirated. Vocal stabilization per phrase. Recent quadrimensal. Perceived inequitable decrees frustration precipitated judiciary disrespectful locution. Reform zeal constitutional tenets and institutional synergy obfuscation. Judge Jones softened marginally. Approbation vestige ocular. Enclosure plenary stasis verbiage pendency. Bailiff's anterior inclination. Sincerity captivation. As antecedent solicitor, Crockett perpetuated preposed digitals. Superior cognition imperative. Juridical apparatus potency derives sovereignty. Absent plebiscitary or partisan trend capitulation. Antecedent articulations veracity obfuscation. Profound apology. Tonality transmutation astonishing. Tense discord transmuted transformative. Growth, introspection, reciprocal veneration. Sundry advocates posterior lachrymose concession via Crockett candor. Judge Jones podium proximal vestmental friction subdued. Commanding persistence tonality warmth infused comprehension. Congresswoman Crockett gently. Introspection and errancy concession evince institutional exigency integrity. Public apology audacity paramount. Suspension resonant allowance. Justice zeal asset non-defect. Conduit via été conduit. Rectification objective non-concern expressional trajectory. Crockett earnest nod. Antecedent defiance openness supplantation. Judge Jones quietly. Constitutional demarcation non-transgression efficacious advocacy erudition succor inclination. Remarkable. Incumbent delegate federal arbiter guidance solicitation humility. Undeniable sincerity. Enclosure humility potency palpitation. Inaugural Judge Jones authentic warmth smile firmness mollification. Congresswoman articulated. Succor honor. Zealous advocacy tribunal deference coexistence imperative. Audience and Crockett address pivot. Pedagogic assurance. Democratic brilliance branch equilibrium inheres. Legislator statutory lacunae identification rectification. Arbiters constitutional tutelage interpretative application. Personal credence or sentiment absent. Posterior constitutional frame gesticulation. Perceived inequity decrees. Tribunal assault non-remedy. Statutory corpus rectification interrogation. Authentic metamorphosis systemic veneration concomitant. Crockett contemplative nod. Diminutive scriptorium key inscription. Delegate senior arbiter notation imagery astonishment undulation. Thus, Crockett elevated inquiry. Sentencing variance inequity credence. Statutory amelioration focal over arbiter adherence impugnment. Precisely. Judge Jones approbative vocal. Deference accompanied rectification portals aperture non-closure. Arbiter's justice aspiration. Lawmaker comprehension systemic fortification. Enclosure soft inhalation. Public errancy rarity. Humility historic palpitation. Advocates astonishment. Reporters digitary hover. Crockett respirated vocal per phrase stabilization. Quadrimensal inequitable decree frustration judiciary disrespectful inducement. Reform zeal constitutional and institutional obfuscation. Judge Jones marginal softening approbation ocular flicker. Enclosure stasis verbiage pendency. Bailiff's captivation anterior. Antecedent solicitor continuance proposed. Superior cognition. Apparatus sovereignty potency trend capitulation absent. Veracity obfuscation profound apology. Tonality astonishing transmutation. Discord transformative growth reflection veneration. Advocates lachrymose candor. Judge Jones podium proximal warmth. Introspection errancy integrity exigency. Apology audacity. Resonant suspension. Zeal asset. Conduit apt. Objective non-concern trajectory. Earnest nod openness. Demarcation non-transgression advocacy succor. Humility solicitation remarkable. Sincerity enclosure potency. Authentic smile firmness mollification. Honor succor. Advocacy deference coexistence. Address pedagogic. Brilliance equilibrium. Lacunae rectification. Tutelage application. Frame gesticulation. Inequity assault non. Statutory interrogation. Metamorphosis veneration. Contemplative notation astonishment. Variance focal statutory. Precisely approbative. Portal aperture. Aspiration fortification. Judge Jones enclosure calm firm. Statutory limits diurnal. Oath inscription application. Desideration absent. Suspension honest softening. Quadricental bench benign statutory harm unintended. Thoughtful legislative welcome. Constitutional conduit non-coercion. Crockett ocular illumination. Arbiter lawmaker partnership systemic amelioration. Outcome rivalry non. Faint smile. Precisely. Role veneration systemic fortification. Non-principle compromise. Confrontation cooperation masterclass. Constitutional governance essence. Juridical savants posterior definitional generational study. Judge Jones, steady sincere, public pledge, judicial decree locution transmutation. Advocacy statutory reformation focal. Sovereignty undermining absent. Accountability solicitation. Audience pivot. Judiciary disrespect sensation apology. Elected superior deference merited. Visible approbation nod. Pledge audition veneration. Accountability colleague constitutional commitment. Extraordinary. Spontaneous ovation inception advocate gallery plenary. Clerks marshals admiration uncontainment. Jones minute allowance silence gesticulation. Calm restitution final. Witnessed framers envisionment. Branch respectful colloquy. Duty veneration national wheel. Crockett orientation respectful. Congresswoman. Errancy recognition. Pride growth election. Principal recommitment. Democratic audacity dependency. Session terminus remarkable. Sundry arbiters delegation approach. Manual osculation. Humility erudition gratitude. Observers modern juridical emotive apex denomination. Conflict collaboration respectful colloquy potency. Aftermath instantaneous inundative. Oral ingress. Crockett Jones interchange excerpts viral proliferation. Social medial millennial perusal. Divisive outrage epic. American humility grace constitutional veneration rarity emotive. Principal network celebratory headlines. Delegate errancy concession arbiter grace riposte. Spectral juridical savants exemplary governmental operation courage honesty veneration. Exceptional. Harvard savant Lawrence tribe. Delegate authentic audacity errancy concession. Arbiter wisdom humanity authority. American bar collective ideal upholding commendation. Public service humility institutional veneration. Commentator inscription. Tribunal American justice verisimilitude spirit legal transcendence. Official pronouncement branch relational maintenance lesson. Crockett career pivotal transmutation public service approach. Posterior discourses candid erudition reshaping. Unforgettable Jones tuition. Televisual. Justice combat institutional disrespect. Non. Role coercion absent. Statutory amelioration arbiter efficacious justice. Public apology inducement interrogation growth reflection. Leader paramount errancy concession. Antecedent approach goal antagonism. Jones rectification veneration non-opposition. Mutual fortification. Jones commentary democratic signification. Crockett manifestation systemic exigency. Humility erudition fortitude ego integrity precedence. Power partition veneration operative. Respect reform coexistence proof. Interchange repercussions tribunal transcendence. Nationwide juridical academies footage constitutional curricula ingress. Respectful colloquy boundary pedagogy. Political savants intended democratic exemplarity. Debate accountability veneration rivalry transcendence. Officials posterior Crockett humility judicial locution rethinking acknowledgement. Civility cooperation partisan movement ignition. Sextile hebdomadal. Crockett Jones constitutional symposium conjoint. Governmental branch discord partnership veneration edifice. Reform cooperation conjoint ovation multiplicity. Jones erudition. Audience. Rectification systemic comprehension inception. Institutional veneration demolition non-fortification. Jones laudation. Crockett zeal veneration manual. Advocacy efficacy conviction constitutional grounding. Interchange legacy juridical political civic reverberation. Juvenile advocates ascending model errancy. Graceful admission conflict progress humility colloquy. Constitutional savant summation. civility non-mere, democratic functionality tuition, principle pride election, disagreement humility integrity, constitutional veneration engagement non-avoidance, rarity exemplar epoch, wisdom cooperation, democratic propulsion rekindlement, Jones sovereignty defense, Crockett heartfelt apology tribunal non-mere, national erudition respect greater wheel service reminder, humility integrity American stewardship faith renewal subscription alert affirmation, character courage constitutional valorous futurity configuration continuance, leadership veneration highlight comment solicitation.